All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday, August 31st. We're just about to September, which means so much closer to hockey. All right, before I do this, I just want to express my condolences to friends, family, um, acquaintances with Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. Um, Terrible, terrible situation. And uh, praying for the family for peace and strength in this extremely difficult time. Um, Going to this, what we're doing today is we're just gonna kind of take a look at how teams are doing to this point with formulating their roster and getting things together. Um, I'm gonna offer a grade. Yes, this is my subjective opinion, but we're gonna go through each team and just kind of highlight, something that they've done or something that they need. And I'm not giving any A pluses. I'm not giving any Fs because there's still time. There's still a lot of time to go. About 40 days. Well, maybe not that much, more like 35 days or so for teams to get their rosters put together. So, we're talking 5 more weeks to get players signed and ready for camp and all. All right, so we're going to go through these teams, starting in the Empire Division westward, going eastward, and then same for the Continental Division. All right, westward going eastward. So I'm going to offer a grade, give you a comment regarding why I gave each team that grade, and so here we go. All right, so first, starting with the Dashers. So far to this point, all right, and again, there's time. I gave them a C minus. I feel like they are putting together a very inexperienced team. Maybe that's the objective. I don't know. I'm not sure why you would want that though. But in my opinion, I think it's a very inexperienced team, very young. Um, Needs some more experienced players, and there's enough players out there that you can sign to add to the roster. Um, I feel like they need more forward too. They've done a good job signing some goaltenders and signing some defensemen. Again, very young, but anyway, that is my opinion on them. All right, the Rockers. They're one of the teams found a way to return the majority of the players that they had from last year. Obviously, the notable absence is going to be Trevor Babin. But at this point, it seems like they've kind of established a goalie competition in camp. They have 6 goaltenders on their roster. There's a good mix of returnees and some newer players, some youth. Um, so I think they've done a very good job. I think they're going to uh, have a very good shot at being a serious cup contender this year with what they've done so far. So yeah, I gave them a B plus. A B minus I give to the Port Huron Prowlers. They're obviously going younger, obviously going in a little bit of a different direction. I mean, they've been good, but they haven't been able to get over the hump. So they're looking to shake things up a little bit. The focus is obviously on defenses here. They have a lot of defensemen in camp. So I am worried about goaltending, though. One of the things I think that's held the Prowlers back in the past has been their goaltending. It hasn't been horrible, but it hasn't been great either. And I feel like they are kind of lacking in that area still. But to this point, I think they've done a good job. So we'll give them a B minus. So we'll go to the next three here. All right. So next for the Binghamton Black Bears. They're another team like Motor City that have found a way of bringing back a lot of guys from last year's team, and that's a pretty good thing when you're the champions. So they kept a large core. But they're getting some new faces. The last 3 weeks, almost everyone they've signed has been a new face. Um, Obviously, you want some new talent to come in, freshen things up, push everyone else. So I feel like they still need a couple of defensemen signed to the roster. So, hopefully they'll get that done in the next few days or weeks. Anyway, for Watertown, I gave them a B minus. Now, I kind of went back and forth for a bit because they're another team. They've brought back a lot of their core guys from last year. Well, last year they barely sneaked into the playoffs. So, isn't that maybe not a good thing? Well, consider how much time they lost to injury. Players out for extended period of times. Tim Payne missed almost the entire year. Some core guys missed the end of the year. And you've got to wonder, could the Wolves have been a lot better than they were if these guys were healthy and in the lineup? Well, that's what they're banking on. So that, obviously they've again brought back a lot of their core. Kind of looking for a bit of a reboot, but they're definitely banking on that IR syndrome. Um, Another team that I feel could use another defensive man or two before camp begins. All right, the Hudson Valley Venom. I'm giving them a C. Again, another team that's brought back a lot of guys from last year, but the team missed the playoffs. And yes, Elmira, now Hudson Valley, also battled significant injury difficulties. Um, I don't feel like they've been as aggressive in signing players and scouting new talent like Watertown has been. So um, that's really why I gave Watertown a higher grade than Hudson Valley because I feel like Hudson Valley is kind of almost still waiting for something to happen. And I'm not sure what. But yeah, I think they could be a little bit more aggressive in their signings. But again, there's time. All right, our next three groups, Danbury, the Hat Tricks, I'm giving them a C. Some of that is not really controllable. Obviously, things have been in flux with Billy McCreary moving on to take the assistant coaching job in Kalamazoo. Uh, and that was kind of last minute. So uh, obviously, that's kind of thrown things into a bit of flux for Danbury. But good news is they've got Gonzo and Ruiz back. You can't go wrong with those two guys on your team. So it's good that they got that shored up. Um, yeah, I think that they're going to have a very busy September. I would figure within the next week or so, they will probably announce a new coach or a new GM. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same person. It might be two different people doing those jobs. But I think that they're going to have a very busy September. Uh, Herm Sorcher is involved with some decisions as well. So I think they'll be okay, but it's been tough. And again, you can't blame Billy for taking this opportunity. I would too. All right, Monroe going into the Continental Division. Monroe Moccasins. They started signing players on day one. They really hit the ground running. Um, very aggressive in uh, signing players, and everyone that they've signed to this point has either FPHL or European experience. So this is, and they're still a young club too. So they've kind of got the best of both worlds here. Um, I think that they're going to do very well for themselves. Might take some time to get some chemistry built, but I think they're going to be all right. I think they're going to be a competitive team, and they've done themselves well by continually signing players. They've been very aggressive with filling up their roster. making moves, making sure that they have good players at every position. Um, so yeah, giving them the A minus. I'm giving the Zydeco a B. Um, Here's a team that's excuse me, since I'd say about the beginning of March. From that point on, they've been trending in the right direction. Got a lot better at the end of the year. Got some players that say, hey, these are solid guys helping us move forward. They've been very good and diligent with filling positions in their roster, obtaining a lot of talent. Um, obviously, they've gotten a lot of those players by trade. So they really are bent on improving over last year, and I think they're going to be successful doing that. So yeah, Zydeco a B, and I definitely think they could be a playoff team. Now there's time to go yet before we do predictions. It's much too early, but I see the Zydeco trending in the right direction. Mississippi, they're kind of in the middle of the road, in my opinion. I'm giving them a C plus. I understand, and Joe Pace has gone on the Pucking Around podcast specifically talking about this. He doesn't want a huge roster going into camp because he doesn't want to be cutting a lot of guys. He wants to give um, the guys that he has signed the best opportunity at making the club and playing for the club. So I understand his philosophy as far as not signing as many players, but I also think that can kind of come back and bite you a little bit. Um, my personal philosophy, and it's just my personal philosophy, is the more players you have in camp, you got some young kids gunning for a job. You're going to drive the more experienced players a little bit more. Um, that's my philosophy. You can disagree or agree with it. Yeah, that's fine. But anyway, I think they've got a good mix of experience and youth, and obviously, the team understood what we've done to this point hasn't worked. Let's shake this up. Let's do this right this time. So I think they've done a good job with recognizing the core guys that they absolutely positively want to keep and get some talent in from other parts of the league as well as new talent. I think they're doing a much better job as far as really analyzing their needs going into a year. So I think they'll be better off than they have been in the past. We'll see. Columbus, a B plus. That's another team that has been very aggressive this summer, and a great job on the rebuild. Obviously, you saw there's players like Petrantonio and Austin Doe and some others that weren't going to be returning. Um, of course, you've got Colgan. You've moved to Baton Rouge. Um, so they've still got a lot of talent coming in. I think they've gotten a little bit younger too, which can be good with speed and agility. Obviously, they're another team that's focused on defense. The only question mark that I have at this point, and it's a natural question, I guess, is the at the goalie post you're pretty much unproven, except for William Lavalier. The rest, you kind of wonder, is this enough? Well, they've got to prove themselves, right? So let's see how they do. All right, for the Athens Rock Lobsters, we're going to discuss this a little bit tomorrow with the great debate about the point slotting system. The reason why I'm giving them a D is because Steve Martinson's putting together a very talented club. Not enough players signed, but he's obviously already put himself over budget on the points cap. All right. I know the statement he's trying to make. I understand what he wants to do. All right, he wants to get to build a team that he has the best chance of winning. At least, he feels that he has the best chance of winning, but it's not a viable roster right now. It's a roster that can't take the ice on opening day, and the problem is, whatever you feel about the point slotting system, the rules are in place right now, and the votes, should the Board of Governors meet and have a vote, do we keep the point system or scrap it? The votes are there for keeping it. All right. So I feel like Martinson is fighting a fight that he cannot win. I mean, you look at the names on the roster, wow, this team can be gangbusters, but they can't all play. So I feel like he needs to build a viable roster and focus on that. So that's why I'm giving them a D. There's time for correction. So hopefully things happen in a positive direction for the Athens Rock Lobsters. Finally, we're going into the Appalachian Mountains, looking at the Winston-Salem, the Carolina Thunderbirds. Remember, the point of this video is how are they doing to this point so far? So Carolina fans, I'm not picking on you. It's the same thing every year. Carolina every year, it's a very, very, very slow process. And in the final 3 weeks, right before the season, we've signed this guy, we've signed this guy, this guy's coming back. So yeah, I think that it looks like that's going to happen again. So yeah, I'm giving him a C- to this point. It's the usual slow buildup. It's just a thing in Winston-Salem. Obviously, it sounds like they're going to be relying on returnees. And, excuse me. And I mean, we don't know what was said in the exit interviews at the end of the year. So we don't know what kind of commitments that Steve Harrison got from the players. But they do have a few signed. They do have a couple of new guys as well. So there's movement. It's just very slow. So hence a C-. All right. And B+ for the Blue Ridge Bobcats. They've been very aggressive, probably one of the most aggressive teams this summer as far as making sure that they get players signed. And it's a good thing they did too, because they've got so many players that got invited to SP camps that are now inactive. The bad thing is if those players come back to Blue Ridge, now you've got to bump some other players because they're pretty close to the roster limit for the off season. So if player A, I don't want to name anybody. If player A comes back, player B who signed a PTO 3 weeks ago might not have a job to compete for, at least in Blue Ridge. Maybe they can sign with another team. But anyway, I think they've done a good job building on the foundation that was laid last year and adding some pieces. So, yeah, we will see what happens, but I will give them a B+. So there you go. That's just kind of an idea how they've been doing. Again, so far, this is not indicative of how they're going to do this year because we're still 6 weeks away. All right. A lot of things can happen in 6 weeks, and a lot of things will happen in 6 weeks. So that's just to this point. Let me know your feelings. You comment down below. Let me know what you think. How'd your team do so far? What would you like to see them do that they haven't done yet? Let me know. All right, thank you for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Follow me on Spreaker, Spotify, or iHeartRadio for the audio midweek report on Thursdays. And, of course, on Facebook. And remember, tomorrow, that's the big video. This is the video that I was looking forward to doing, the great debate. And a lot of you have sent me emails and have offered me your opinions. So I'm going to be reading a lot of your opinions, looking at the pros and cons of the point slotting system. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow here on YouTube for the Fed League Flash.